This is my second season of growing cauliflower, and I've noticed a new pest interaction that I want to document in this video. So here we're talking about the cabbage root maggot, and the Latin name of course is Delia radicum. And so the larva is a whitish, cream-colored type legless maggot, and it will hatch near the surface of the soil and it will burrow down into the subterranean environment around some of these brassica crops, right? And it will begin to eat the roots, right? And when it eats the roots, that can be detrimental to the plant, especially if it eats enough quantity of that phloem or cortex that's in the root. It can really hinder energy and nutrients from getting from the roots and up into the plant, right? And it can, in some cases, end up killing the plant. Once the larva has, eaten a bunch, it will eventually reach the next phase of its life stage, and it will pupate, right? And it'll be like a little brownish oval shaped pods, and these will eventually hatch into adults, right? And these adults can look very similar to like houseflies. They might be a little bit smaller, but by and large, there's a very similar look to them. And so this insect can be a pest to different brassica crops, right? Such as whether it be cauliflower, broccoli, all of those different brassicas, even some weeds or wild brassicas, right? Like wintercress, etc., etc. The adults like to lay eggs in soil that has a high organic matter content, right? And so that's very similar to another insect called the seed corn maggot, which is, I believe, in the same genus, right? Delia. The seed corn maggot will go after other crops like, corn, of course, beans. That's been one that I've noticed for sure. But both of those fly species like to lay their eggs in high organic matter content soil, so that can kind of serve as an attractant and to kind of support that life. The cabbage root maggot will also really thrive in damp and cool conditions, and we have had a bunch of that this season, that's for sure. We've had a slew of days, multiple times throughout the season, where we have had continuous rain, overcast, and even as we're heading into June, we still have some nights that are in the 40s or in the 50s. So that's probably been a substantial factor in being able to support this cabbage root maggot out in the garden. This insect can also have 2 to 3 generations per year, depending on how long the growing season is, with like where your position on the earth is when you are growing these plants, right? So it may be cyclical, it may be a certain time of the year, right? It may be during a certain few weeks when the cabbage root maggot may be more of an issue, and then it may not be an issue at a certain time, but then it may pick back up later on in the season, right? So that's one thing to be aware of. So now we know some general information about this insect. So what are some potential solutions that maybe have been used or could be used? One huge thing is crop rotation. Growing crops in a different place each year, right? Especially as it pertains to these brassicas, because in the fall, where brassicas have been planted and where they've grown, the adults may lay their eggs, and some of these younger life stages may be persisting in the soil over the winter. Whereas if you plant the brassicas in a different place the next year, right, those maggots will hatch in that other field, right, where the brassicas are no longer planted, and so they will likely not have as much of a food source, and the brassica crops will have a pretty good foothold in that new location, not having so many of their roots damaged. This practice of crop rotation can also be paired with using different types of fencing or row cover that can protect the immediate surrounding environment of these brassica crops from the flying adults of the cabbage root maggot, right? So they can't get right in near the brassica plants to lay their eggs. Additionally, it's also important to be cognizant of any brassica family weeds or even cover crops that may be being grown, like the daikon radish or maybe some other mustards and turnips, because some of these other crops can also harbor the cabbage root maggot. So especially if we're doing crop rotations, right, in some of these weedy plants or cover crops have been used in that field previously, it might be a cause for concern, or at least, we might want to think about growing this brassica crop that we want to grow in a different location that has not had a brassica cover crop or been inundated with a brassica weed. So additionally, aside from these cultural management practices, we also have some natural enemies that can also work in the ecological system to help manage potentially this cabbage root maggot, right? So we have some different natural enemies like rove beetles, carabid beetles, and some of these other ground beetles that can actually work to eat some of the larval stages of this insect. We also have certain types of mites like Trombidium, and also the insect Tribliographa rapi, and some of the parasitic wasps, flies, such as the ichneumonids, braconids, and diapriids. Right, so it's good to have different types of flowering plants on the landscape that can attract these beneficials as well. Minimizing tillage and also adding in areas for beetle banks, as they're termed, for some of these beneficial beetles can help to create this ecological environment that can help to support some of these naturally occurring checks and balances, right? That can help, at least hopefully to an extent, to help control this cabbage root maggot if it is an issue. Because if it is an issue, that may speak to an imbalance in the local landscape. All right, so here we have some cauliflower. This is the green macerata cauliflower variety, and that I'm growing for the first time. And some of these don't look fantastic, right? Particularly these two. All the others out here seem to be pretty good, but these two seem to be a little wilted. We can see here the bottom leaves are kind of yellowing. All of these leaves are beginning to wilt. The plant doesn't look quite as healthy as, say, this one. Right here we have some yellowing of the bottom leaves as well, but also the upper portions of some of these other leaves are also turning purple. Could be indicative of a phosphorus deficiency, so the roots aren't able to get as much phosphorus up to the leaves, so that those leaves can move those sugars and stuff. So the sugars from the photosynthesis stay in the leaves and are converted to anthocyanins, thus the pinkish purple color. So this one kind of seems to come up out of the ground pretty easily, actually, right? I can just pull on it like this. We have some ants here, and we can see this root system definitely doesn't seem to be super lively, or at least you can't because it's blurry. So this could be the cabbage root maggot, but I'm not totally sure. Thank you so much for checking out this video on the cabbage root maggot and what it is, and some different things that we might be able to do about it to help manage this issue in more of an ecological or natural type approach. So far, at least this season, I have not noticed this maggot to be a huge issue. It's only affected a couple or 3 plants or so, and last season I don't know that it was a factor at all. But it remains possible that this could potentially become more of an issue down the road, or it could ebb and flow. It could, be a huge issue certain years and not others. But now that I know a little bit more about this issue, I can work to have in place more natural management practices that may be able to take that into account and help to prevent yield loss. So thank you so much for watching, and I look forward to seeing you in a future video. Take care.